good evening. Thanks a lot for making this time on a Sunday evening. I'll just start with a quick introduction. So I'm again one of the NIJISH this side, and I'm one of the founders of BBQ Ride. So BBQ Ride, I'm not sure how many of you guys know us, but we are like one of the biggest franchisee chain in the world, like biggest franchisee in terms of a bike. So we do basically custom, we build sidecars and we attach it to a Royal Enfield. So we sell barbecues on a bike. That's our model. And presently we have around 100 bikes across India, with Tamil Nadu being one of our biggest market, like wherein we have more than 50 bikes in Tamil Nadu itself. Gautam reached out to me a week before, and he told me that like would love to that you guys would love to know about the story of us. Would quickly give you guys a brief on on how it all started. It all started back in 2016. So we all had basically food trucks. Arun and Krishna, basically the other two founders. They had their own food trucks. I had my own food truck, and the food trucks were a big pain operating food trucks. Because of you can't park it basically in a heart of the city, right? Because of the size of the truck, right? So basically, it was Arun's idea to come up with a portable one. So we quickly put in a pilot model, and which was quite successful. Like a lot of people, started reaching out to us for franchisee, and that's when we thought, there is a business model of franchisee out there in the same. And that's when we thought, let's start selling franchisees, apart from our own bikes. So that was the whole beginning of the franchisee model for this, I would say. And again, none of us came from the food vertical. Again, we all were just beginners in this vertical. So was something new for us, because if you look at traditional franchisees model, it operates in a separate way. So we came up with a unique franchise model, wherein they kind of pay us on a per on a fixed cost every month, rather than a commission basis, wherein unlike a typical franchise model like a McDonald's or something. So I would say that the most challenging part for us were, like, the initial few bikes, wherein we ourselves were not really sure, whether people would be really convinced, with this idea, especially in a country like India, right, wherein street food is still, it's still not widely accepted in tier one cities and all. So we wanted to somewhere place ourselves, in between a street food, as well as, in between a massive restaurant out there. So something, pretty much on the street, but at the same time extremely hygienic, extremely fresh. And again, barbecues were quite new when we started. A lot of people, I would say, were not even aware of what a barbecue is. Uh, how exactly barbecues are different from the other chicken items out there, right? So I would say establishing the market was one of the toughest part for us. But yeah, post that, it's been quite a great journey for us, I would say. uh, at this point, we have bikes across India. Like, you take a majority of the tier one cities, we have our bikes. We even have one bike in Andaman as well, and a lot of other places in the north as well. For instance, Delhi, Gurgaon, Jaipur, Gujarat, Bombay. You guys name it. Like, we have it like across most of the places right now. So guys, that's pretty much about the journey of BBQ ride in a nutshell. Now, what I want is, I want this to be an interactive session, rather than just a one-sided storytelling. So it would be great if you guys could start shooting questions from the beginning, so that we could answer them and we could move accordingly.
Yeah. Uh, Sir, so as soon as we announce this session, so I have received some questions.
Oh, that's great.
I have sorted out these things. Yeah. So I have sorted out the maximum asked questions. So the first thing is, so what was the thing which inspired you people to be an entrepreneur?
Okay, so that's a very interesting question, I would say. So entrepreneurship is something, I would say, it should come within. It's not something that you read somewhere and you decide. Somewhere it's always there. When you do something, you always should have that feeling that you got to start something of your own. So for us,
Okay.
it was the problem statement. So you take any entrepreneur out there, they're always out there solving a problem, right? It's like in our case, we were trying to solve it, by serving good hygienic food with the help of food trucks. But then we figured out, you won't get a good barbecue out there, right? So today, if you go to have a barbecue, where do you go? You go to a barbecue nation with your friends, right?
Yeah.
And at the same time, that's not something you can afford every time, right? So this was a problem statement for us. And then we thought, let's
Okay.
try something new, let's try something unique. And then that's how
Yeah.
Barbecue Ride was born. So yeah,
Okay.
I hope that's the question.
Okay, fine. There are a lot of foods in India, so you have so many options
Uh-huh.
to be a food-based entrepreneur. But why only BBQs?
So barbecues, if you take it, that's a segment which was not much explored, and it was an upcoming niche. So you take any other food, right? Take a masala dosa for that fact. That's something you can
Okay.
eat for 10 rupees also. You can eat it for a 70 rupees also. You can have it at a
Okay.
Taj for 400 rupees also, right?
Okay.
Take a rice plate, take a biryani. You can have a roadside biryani for 50 bucks also, for 200 rupees also,
Okay.
as well as for, I don't know, maybe 1000, 1500 at a five star. Right. So barbecues, again, if you look at it,
Yeah.
one, like I said, barbecues, it's one of the most hygienic. I mean, it's pretty healthy, I would say. So one of the reasons
Okay.
is it's done on coal, right? So the it doesn't consume much oil. Second is it's freshly cooked. It's done right in front of
Yeah.
your eyes, so that freshness again is maintained, right? So today, if you have a street food, two biggest issues are, one is the oil, right? I mean, you don't know what they are
Yeah.
using. Second is the freshness,
Yeah.
right? So we figured out, this is something, I mean, this problem. So if we get into this, this is a niche, which is not much explored. So like I said, today, if you want to have a good barbecue, you might go to a Barbecue Nation or a similar players like Barbecue Nation, right? You won't find a street side barbecue. I mean, of course, today you will find a lot after we came into picture, but post that,
Yeah.
before this, I'm pretty sure a lot of people wouldn't be even aware of what a barbecue is, right? So
Yeah.
so yeah, I would say it's always about figuring out a niche, rather than going broad. So you got to figure out. So there is something called as a product market fit. You know, you got to launch the right product at the right time. So India, if you see,
Yes.
the entire generation is today becoming health conscious, right? Everybody wants to have healthy food, right? Everybody wants to have fresh food. So people today, the young generation, that's people like you guys are smart, right? You guys understands the difference between what is a stale food and a fresh food, right? So today, if you see a barbecue on the street, you won't judge it by the looks that it is on the street, right? You would judge it by the taste and the freshness that it has got, right? So yeah, that's how we identified the niche and we went after it.
Okay, fine, sir. So, what is the biggest challenge you have faced in your journey with after starting BBQ writing?
Well, I would say the biggest challenge has always been, one is scaling. Second is,
Yeah.
street food. So like I said, street food is kind of a taboo in India. I mean, people still love it, I know, but again, if you go to a extreme posh area, like if you
Mm.
go out with a parent, like your parent would always say, let's have it from a restaurant, right? It's hygienic,
Yeah.
it's safe, right?
Yeah.
So that was the most challenging part, I would say. And from a legal perspective, it's not that easy because end of the day we are on streets, so the it has its own challenges. You got to take multiple licenses, and at the same time, food trucks are not yet legal in India, I would say. I mean, it's a gray segment right now. It's not illegal at the same time. It's not legal. It's somewhere in between at this point.
Yeah.
So I would say that was always challenging for us to launch a new state. We have to go speak with the authorities there, ensure that we have all the documents in place as per their requirement. So that's been the most challenging part. Second was, like I said, scale. So if you look at it, a lot of people would say, it's so easy to build. We would just build it ourselves. We don't want to take a
Mm.
franchisee. But people forget the fact that the most important part there is the taste, right? So the taste is something you
Yeah.
got to maintain it around throughout. So that's something we have invested a lot of money in, and we have ensured that we have a standardized spice today, like across India.
Okay, fine, sir. So this is next one is a general question. So, who is an entrepreneur to you personally? So, how do you treat an entrepreneur? How do you define the term?
Well, entrepreneurship, I mean, I would say, so there is this quote, that I read it somewhere, entrepreneur is someone who jumps from a plane and, and he basically has an idea and he got to build it while on the way, while going down, right? So, so basically, to elaborate that, anyone, who tries to solve a problem existing there, right? That's what we call an entrepreneur. And if you would ask, you take anyone for that fact, right? I mean, take the biggest of players like an Elon Musk or a I don't know, Bill Gates. All these guys have always out there solving a problem, right? So if you take, Elon Musk for that fact, multiple things he's into, uh, of course, one is the Tesla, the biggest being, right, which is an electric car which will
Yeah,
bring in a complete revolution out there, right? Secondly, take his other companies like the boring company. I don't know how many of them have heard about it, but it's like they're building underground roads. They're connecting cities underground so that the traffic is not impacted. Hyperloop is another one. So, and
yeah.
anyone who solves a problem, right, who has the willingness to go after it is, we can just define him as a or her as an entrepreneur, I would say.
Okay, fine, sir. Thank you. So here's a question from the audience. So, question from Hari Prasad. How are you attending the hygiene and quality of the dishes that made at the streets of India?
Okay, so this is a question I would say I often face from a lot of customers as well as a lot of guys who wants to take franchisee. So hygiene again, I would say two things. One is like we always try to ensure that we always recommend them, certain shops, close by the areas based on our experience and the inputs that we get from those local areas. Second is we have a bunch of volunteers always on the streets who would always keep checking the food quality every now and then. They always give surprise visits. So again, if you look at it, it's technically a bit challenging for that fact because imagine we have two bikes in Delhi and we are sitting in Bangalore. It's not that easy to go to Delhi and just check it, right? So that's the reason we have volunteers.
Yeah.
Second, our model
Okay.
is placed in such a way that uh, most of these guys, whenever they make money, they make money for themselves. So we don't work on a commission model. We take a fixed cost every month from these guys. So that way,
Okay.
the good part is, let's say you pay me X. Now it doesn't matter how much you make. You are supposed to pay me X. So if you don't maintain hygiene, people won't come back to you, right? And at the same time, people starts complaining to us. So I would say a lot of our customers, they themselves act as brand advocates, and they often tweet about us or they reach out to on our Facebook page. So so that makes it quite easier, I would say.
Okay. Fine, sir. The next thing is, how did you manage to raise the funds at the early stage?
We didn't, to be honest. We because it's a
Okay.
bootstrap company, so if the
Okay.
initial bikes were invested from our own pockets. It got launched,
Okay.
and
Okay.
after that, the franchisee fee that we got, we kept rotating it. So it
Okay.
has grown
Okay.
slowly. Again, we haven't spent any money on ads or anything. Whatever growth we have had, it's all organic.
Okay. Okay. Fine, sir. What sort of marketing strategy you follow till date? So is that changed from the beginning, or you are maintaining the same?
So again, marketing strategy again, like I said, it's all organic. So the way
Okay.
marketing works is, if your product is organic, then you don't have to go aggressively, selling it, right? So basically, if you look at our product's USP is two things. One is the set, the concept. Second is the taste. So you go to
Yeah.
a bike in Chennai versus a bike in Tirchi, you'll find the same taste. You won't find any difference. So standardization is something we have always focused on. And I would say once you build that standardization across, then your brand eventually grows, and that's how we have also grown it. And from a marketing perspective, I would say it's still the same from what we had on day one.
Okay. Uh, Sir, the next thing is I think I found this very interesting. This. Uh, like you people are traveling around the country, so you are making business around the country. So each state will have a certain food culture. So how
Mhm.
are you overcoming those barriers? Are you seeing that as a barrier?
Not really. So again, it depends, So let me put it this way, So basically, if you look at a lot of states, they keep adding their own local stuff along with the standardized barbecues that we serve. So, for instance,
Okay.
if you go to if you go to a franchise in Bombay, they might serve you, like a chicken pav, like so they will just put in 2 3 pieces. So it's not really a burger, but it's just like a pav along with it's like a bun with 2 3 chicken
Okay.
pieces. Now that's a unique thing. You won't find, and I mean everything remains same, but they just add some spice to the bun, and it becomes a unique dish. So that's something you'll only find at Bombay. You won't find it anywhere else. Similarly, in south, down south in Chennai and all, you will find fishes and all, which is not common up there, up in the north. If people don't, not everyone consumes, fishes, octopuses, and all that. So
Yeah.
I would say it varies place to place. But what we have done is we have created like 5 to 6 different sets of spices for each one of them. So when I say each one of them, I mean like we have a different spice for chicken, for fishes, like for similarly for other products, we have different spices. So like I said, barbecue itself is a unique product, So that way, we have seen a good acceptance of our spice across India, and we did a lot of experiments initially, and then based on the inputs that we got, and that's how we have standardized the spices around.
Okay. Great, sir. Sir, the general question, which I hope you would receive in this recent times. So, how was your lockdown? Was
Sorry.
lockdown affecting your business? How was your lockdown? Was lockdown affecting your business for the past 3 to 4 months?
Of course, it is. I mean, there's no doubt about that. Like lockdown has drastically impacted a lot of our bikes, for multiple
Okay.
reasons. Because if you come under a containment zone or a red zone, then you can't even operate. But having said that, we are also seeing some good positive insights across India, I would say. So a lot of people, they are now slowly understanding the hygiene factor, and that way we keep getting a lot of inputs that they would just pick up the stuff from our home and stuff like that. And in fact, a lot of our bikes have now started operating from home. So they put the bike, right in front of their home, and they have a lot of their regular loyal customers who just WhatsApp them, and once the food is ready, they'll just come and pick it up from there. So some places, bikes are like completely back to normal. So Andaman bike is now fully operational every day. 2 3 other locations in Chennai, bikes are live. So Navalur again, one of our biggest area in like one of our biggest franchises, they are now fully operational, like back to normal. Uh, Again, in
Okay.
south, some of the bikes are so. I would say the initial 2 months were a bit tricky because since it was a complete lockdown, people were also scared to eat from outside and all. But I would say apart from those 2 months, businesses are like slowly catching up. I would say across India for us.
Okay, fine, sir. So, to match up those things, do you have any specific plans after post COVID-19 lockdowns and all?
No, I mean, to be honest, we haven't thought about it because it's a time of uncertainty, right? Nobody knows how long
Yeah.
this will go. So
Okay.
I mean, to be honest, as of now, we don't have plans, but yeah, we do have some plan ready. But again, we'll execute it only once we see, things coming back to normal.
Okay, fine, sir. Sir, the things we are facing as an incubator is so many people have associated their idea with us,
Hmm.
but they have even some people have started their works. Say some have started in February, and as soon as they have started their enterprise, they are facing a lockdown. So,
Hmm.
what would be your suggestions to those sort of early stage entrepreneurs post COVID 19? How should they approach the market? So, what sort of strategy they must have? You think?
So, couple of things here. One is I would say I'm sure a lot of people would have also observed this. I would say the future is going to be online. Because let's
Yeah.
consider two scenarios. Let's assume that COVID is going to be the new normal. Okay, let's assume that things won't come back to normal in another 1 year. So that doesn't mean people won't eat outside. People won't come out, right? I mean, people will do everything. Right? People will consume outside food. People will, and I mean, nobody's going to eat homemade food only for another 1 year, right? So
Yeah.
two things here. One is like we got to ensure that we kind of make things transparent. So again, so this is something I have asked one of my bikes to do it in North. So basically, right from the preparation time to everything, they started updating it on their WhatsApp statuses, on the Facebook page. So
Okay.
you kind of tell your customers that you're maintaining the hygiene throughout. So sooner or later, the customer will start ordering, through you again. So
Okay.
again, if you are from a tier 2, tier 3 city, unfortunately, there is no Swiggy, Zomato also. So that way, I would say the best way to do is, start growing your community, uh,
Yeah.
start Facebook, be aggressive on Facebook and Instagram, take your friends and family's help, ask them to update it on the statuses, so as long as you do it, I'm pretty sure, you can survive. I mean, you can make some business of it. Because see, if you look at everything as is, there are two sides of everything, right? There's always two sides of a coin, right? So the positive
Yeah.
aspect, I'll just explain you with one of my bikes example. Okay, so one of my
Okay.
bike, they were paying a rent of 15,000 earlier, and they had two employees, and after everything, the margins they were making were decent. But let's say they were doing a business of 10K, they were only making 5K profit. But now what's happened is they have left the shop, so then now they are operating from home. So rent has become zero. They don't have any workers, so no working cost. I mean, no workers cost. Everything they're doing at home only. So that cost is zero, right? And at the same time, they have hiked up the price a bit because of COVID. And today they do just 5,000 worth business, but their profits have like almost doubled. You got it. So that way, I
Yeah.
would say, uh, I would say we got to find an opportunity. We got to, try to come out of this and try to find a unique way of selling it, I would say.
Yeah. Got it, sir. Uh, so right now, so I hope when you are starting, there won't be many this sort of startup business incubators in the game. So right now, almost every academic institution in our country are trying to have their own startup incubator. Even almost every government is supporting the startup schemes. So how did you see this?
Mhm.
Do you see this as a good scale of growth in the country, or do you see like when I ask this question to some people, they would say this will just increase the competition, so they will just fight among themselves. So what is your take on this?
Not really, not really. So that way, startups have always been there, right? I mean, incubators are just something that will give them the right direction and the path, right? And incubators acts as connectors, right?
Yeah,
So otherwise, also if you see, the ratio is 99 is to 1, right? 99% of the startups
yeah,
fail out there. 1% survive. So that
yeah,
competition is going to be there, and I'm sure it's going to get even more brutal. So with COVID, I was reading articles that almost 70% of the startups out there are in pretty much in a very much sustaining phase right now. Their growth and everything has gone down. So
yeah,
to answer this question precisely, I would say incubators are good thing. It's a great thing because today, so I'll take you in my case. Okay, in my case, when I was in college, there was no incubation centers or anything. We learned everything once we came out. Once we read about things, we worked ourselves. We worked in different organizations. That's how we learned, and that's how we got to know about things. So
yeah,
I would say the most important, you got to look at the positive side of it. So the positive side is, it's a good thing that, your college has incubator, so, as an incubation center. So that's the reason today you guys are having this session, right?
yeah,
So let's try to look at the positive side of it, because this will give you a clear direction and clear path, on where you guys are headed. And competition will always be there, irrespective of the incubation centers. People are going to start their own things, right? So It's all about ensuring that you have a pretty good sustaining idea, and then you work towards it and you make it successful.
Yeah, great, sir. Uh, so the question from the audience, Mr. Sudhakar. So his question is, how big is the food truck market in India?
Oh, food truck market. So that's a very interesting question. So food truck markets have been quite on and off, I would say. So I'll talk about the positive sides of food trucking business and the negative sides as well. So I'll start with the positives.
Okay.
The positives is it's very easy to it's very easy to move around, right? So, unlike a typical restaurant business, wherein let's say you invest like 20 lakhs into the interiors, and tomorrow, let's say the area doesn't pick up for some reason, it's not the food, it's the area, right? So that way you're
Yeah.
stuck. You can't do anything. You got to leave that place and move on, right? But in terms of food truck, that's not the case. You can always keep moving around, and you know, at the same time, a lot of culture is changing off lately, right? You see a lot of events and a lot of events, music festivals, and all happening around. So food trucks are the right thing to take there, and you see pretty good businesses through those verticals. And I mean, not just music festival or something. For example, take a college function, take a birthday party, right? I mean, these are the days that when people love to celebrate everything, right? So you could always take your truck there, have or like attend a private party. So I know a lot of people who still makes lakhs through food trucking business. At the same time, I see a lot of food trucks getting shut down as well. Now, this is whatever I told right now was a brighter side. Now, the other part of it is it's still not I would say 100% legal in India. Although like a lot of talks are going on right now, but again, there is no, I mean, there's nothing on paper. So again, you got to find a private spot. You got to rent that place out. You got to put your truck there and run it. So, but having said that, you will find food trucks across India. You take any state, you'll find food trucks. Take Bangalore, take Chennai, take Delhi, Bombay, everywhere you'll find bunch of food trucks. And if you see, that culture is also changing. So in Delhi, I know there is a food truck zone. Like there is which has like almost like 20 food trucks. So people go there in the cars. They just sit in car, they order, and the food just arrives at, I mean, they just get the food to their car. So if you see, food trucks are pretty big out there in the West. So when I say West, I mean take the US, take Europe and all. Food trucks are pretty common there, and food trucks, people don't discriminate between a restaurant and food truck. So I still remember, I once went to Germany and I had a meeting, and these guys took me to a food truck. We had food outside a food truck. So, and if you look at India, anything that happens in the West, it slowly gets replicated in India. Right? Eventually, it gets replicated in India. So that way, I would say food trucks definitely have a good future, and especially with COVID and all happening, I would say a lot of people would now love that, when the restaurant would start arriving at their place, right? For instance, imagine there's a private party of 10, just the family members, right? Let's imagine like 10 to 15 close folks, and they want to order. So they would love to get a truck at their place, and those businesses, they're already thriving. It's already pretty big in tier one cities. It's just a matter of time, when it gets replicated to smaller cities as well.
Okay.
So yeah.
Fine, sir. So you are saying that many legal problems are there since it is not on papers that food truck is legally approved like that. So if this is the case, how are you managing such legal issues? Because you have such a hundred number of franchise in the
No, so
US.
basically, what we do is we never run it on streets, right? So see, if you look at it, Gotham, if you look at any street vendor, right, they don't have any proper license or something, right? In India, there are no dedicated different licenses for all this, right? So
Yeah.
when I say it's not legal, I didn't mean it's illegal. It's just that it's a gray
Yeah.
segment. So it's like you can't modify your car today in India, right? Because there are
Yeah.
a set of protocols. So similarly, what we do is, we try to get FSSI license, and we get it under a kitchen's name, and we take a private space. So see, as long as you take a private space, as long as you're not, you're not causing any trouble to anyone out there, you won't face any other problem. So problem comes when you put it on the street. So if you look at a street vendor, what do? They don't take a private space, right? They don't rent out anything. They just
Yeah.
put it on the street, right? Which causes traffic jam and multiple other issues. So we generally
Okay.
don't do that. None of our bikes are, placed on the street. It's often at a rented place.
Okay. Uh, so you will see that specific thing as a rule, right? So whoever approaches you for a franchise, you will ask them to have a private space.
That's correct.
Okay, fine, sir. Great. Another question is, could you explain the uniqueness of your brand name from Monisha?
So BBQ, right? So basically, it's BBQ on the go, right? Basically, it's
Yeah.
on the bike. So we wanted a generic name. So that's how the name BBQ Red, I would say. Basically, the name represents what we do, right? So yeah,
Yeah.
that's the name.
Okay, fine, sir. Sir, can you please share the most interesting incident which you have faced in recent times? Uh,
Uh, the most interesting one. Okay. So basically, I would say that we get a lot of calls, for franchisees, and basically, it's not the recent one, but I would say it's just 1.5 years old story.
okay,
So
okay,
like we basically do parties, across India for like private parties, I would say. So we generally get calls. So once
okay.
we got a call from so again, I cannot name him because we were told not to, but we got a
Yeah,
call from a famous cricketer asking about that. Will we be able to take up his birthday party? And we were kind of stunned, that we're getting calls from such a big cricketer for the same. And we thought first that it maybe it's someone else, maybe it's not him. But then it turned
okay,
out that it was him, and it was a stunner for us. I mean, we never anticipated such a big guy to call us for a birthday party. But yeah, so that was at the same time also I would say good validation for us that like if such high folks who could just simply call for most elite stuff out there, they're also approaching us. So that gives us a validation that our taste is widely appreciated around. Hey Gautam, give me 1 second.
great. Yeah, sure, sure. Uh, so participants who are having any interesting questions or the things which you do like to ask the speaker, please share your questions in the chat box.
Yeah, Gautam. Sorry.
Yes, sir. So moving on to the next question from Praveen Kumar. So what is he asking? What is the toughest time you faced as an entrepreneur? I think we are asking more about your toughest times.
Hmm. So I would say it's going to be it's going to be the similar answer that what I gave for the challenging part. It was the initial
Yeah.
days. Like I said, we never
Yes.
thought it would be that easy to scale. So like I said, the initial investments, especially in terms of setting up the spices, ensuring standardization, those times were quite tough for us because nobody anticipated. I mean, we were not sure whether people will accept it or not because, like I said, it's not a fully functional shop, right? End of the day, it's on the streets.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the toughest, but I would say basically validating the model. So it's not just this business, right? You take any business, validating the business model is the toughest thing, right? Because it's not you who decide, it's the consumers. It's the consumers who needs to accept you, right? So
Yeah.
that's always the toughest thing, I would say.
Okay. Fine, sir. So nowadays, especially in South, so South Indians are developing more takeaway models. You know, more than the
Mhm.
complete restaurant. So they are coming out with takeaway models. Uh, so obviously they are turning out to be a good competitor to you. So do you have any plans to manage, in specific, to manage the takeaway models?
So again, barbecues again. Barbecue again, you have to, so there's a massive difference between a takeaway barbecue and the one that you have it right there itself.
Yeah.
So that way, it's globally proven. Again, it's not us, So barbecue, again, you have to have it right, on the spot itself. So again, we do get some orders through online. I mean, most of our bikes are listed on Swiggy, Zomato, and all. But then again, I
Yeah.
would say the real business is, wherein you have to like have it right at the spot. So I won't really say, that's going to be a big competition for us. But yeah, any which
Okay.
ways we have takeaways, so uh, won't really impact us, I would say.
Okay, okay, great, sir. Question from Mr. Dinesh. So, what would be the decent size of investment would you recommend for for a new player to enter the restaurant business race and show a consistent growth in a tier two city?
Okay. So again, it depends, right? I mean, I would say it's a very broad question. So again, it depends. Uh, so again, when you say restaurant, again, restaurant ratio in India is terrible. I mean, everyone knows, right? So basically, they say that one restaurant opens up and two shuts down every day, right? That's the ratio. So I would
Yeah,
say that, before you, I mean, don't try to be broad. Try to be a niche. Try to be don't, because this is something I would say a lot of people fail. They try to put in all the items in the menu. So when you do that, you got to ensure that you got to have multiple chefs. And at the same time, the supply also increases, right? So if you're not able to match the demand, then you eventually take a hit on the quality, right? And this is where a lot of
yes,
people go wrong. So again, if you look at the barbecue menu, it's still the same menu that we had earlier. I mean, we have added like a couple of things, but still we try to keep it very niche, because that way, you are
okay,
able to maintain the demand as well. At the same time, you can maintain the quality across, right? So imagine you have like 50 things on your menu, and let's say the 10 things are least orders, and let's say one guy comes and order. The chances are very high that it's I mean, the item that you have in your refrigerator is an old one, and then you're going to take a impact on the quality, and then that customer won't come back to you, right? And then you
yeah,
try being just another generic restaurant out there. So it's good to figure out a niche, just figure out one or two things that you're good at, and then just go out with that, just start with that. And again, restaurant business, from what I have seen, I mean, I think people invest like around 15 to 20 easily, irrespective of which town you plan to operate, right? So the investments are
okay,
pretty high, I would say. But again, I won't be able to comment much on it, because again, it depends, like I said, on which niche you plan to do. So yeah.
yeah. Fine, sir. The next thing is, what is the one most difficult thing that every entrepreneur should be aware of, and how he or she could overcome that difficulty?
I think having a proper, so two things, right? One is like you basically, it's like, the great Warren Buffett says, like, you can't step in, you can test the waters by putting both your legs into it, right? So basically, so this is specifically for someone who comes from a middle class family and intend to start something, right? So always ensure that you have enough capital, because business, you never know, right? The probabilities are always, sometimes you won't be. I mean, things take time to be successful, right? So ensure that you have that appetite for it, and don't give up is something I would say in the beginning, because the planning part versus the execution part. I've seen it. It's almost different for a lot of guys. So today you have something on the paper, but once you start executing, things would change totally, right?
Yeah.
So one is like keep pivoting. So keep pivoting ASAP. Keep start adapting things. Don't stick to one thing. So today, let's say you're planning to start with let's say I don't know, a juice shop, but then you figure out your lemonade is doing well, your soda is doing well than the juice. So once you see that, start going towards that, rather than sticking with the juice. So keep adopting. So especially for those who are starting it for the first time, right? Because a lot of insights that you will get only once you start. So I would say pivoting would be a very key, as per the needs, as per the uh, response you keep getting from the customer.
Okay, fine. The next thing is from Yasin Fatima. As a woman, how should I get trained in this BBQ? Will you provide any training?
Yeah, we do. In fact, in Coimbatore, we have 2 to 3 bikes, which are again operated by women. So that won't be
Yeah,
a problem at all. That that can be
yeah,
taken care of.
yeah, great. I think one bike is near my home, if I'm not wrong.
Okay. Where are you from, Gautam?
Okay. I'm from Coimbatore. I'm in
Okay.
Vadavalli here.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. We do have a bike there.
Yeah, I'm a regular customer there, happy customer.
Great.
Okay, fine. The second question from Dinesh. India is still to mature on its nightlife culture, particularly on tier 2 cities. Having this, where do you see the future for eat outs? Conventional 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. model, or 11 to 11 model, or 7 p.m. to 2 a.m. model?
So I would say it would vary a lot from towns to town. So it depends on the culture that your town has. So basically, I've seen in some places wherein people kind of crash, they kind of sleep at like 7 p.m. and 8 p.m. and all. So those places again maybe it might take a decade or something for that to get evolved. Uh, so I would say it's if you have some, I mean, again, a lot of regulatories also comes into picture, right? It's not that you can decide, right? Because of some places you can't operate beyond a certain time, right? And at the
Yeah,
same time, it depends where are you located. For instance, if you're like close to a highway or something, I mean, you have business like around the clock, right? But in
yeah,
terms of the nightlife part, I would say it's still tricky. So Bangalore, for that fact, when I came in, like 4 5 years before, like it used to be like kind of shut down by I think 10 or something, and now it's kind of open till late night. So I would say it would vary, but I don't think it would impact you guys in any ways, right? Because if you're running a restaurant by 7 to 7, the moment you see people are up for late night also, all you got to do is just extend the timing, right? So, but having said that, I would say it's always get to get to update yourself with all the online models. So today you might not have a Swiggy or Zomato in your place, but you can always use WhatsApp, right? WhatsApp and Facebook today, most of these guys uses it. And if in small towns, you almost everyone out there, right? So you have most of the guys' phone number. So one WhatsApp update today, 200 to 300 people can simply come to know about an offer that you got, right? So that way, I would say
yeah,
start using all these tools out there. Like not just WhatsApp, right? Facebook is there, Insta is there, like a bunch of other tools like ShareChat and all, which is majorly used in tier 2, tier 3 cities. So I would say, utilize those tools, start building smaller brands, start building communities within your area, and it will grow itself.
Okay, fine, sir. We have the final two questions. The penultimate one is how to learn marketing skills and how to study the market.
So marketing, so basically, I would say so multiple ways. One is like now so this is something I would say how I learned initially. Always look at some brand, right? I mean, look at some brand in the West. Follow their strategies. Look at them on how they keep promoting themselves, right? So that is one way of doing it. Second is keep experimenting. So when I say
Yeah,
experimenting, today, a lot of things, it's so transferable. So today, let's say if you're not feeling well, or if you just update your WhatsApp status, you're not feeling well. I'm sure 10 of your friends would just reach out to you asking, what happened, right? So today you have all
yeah,
the mediums, right? So I would say keep experimenting. That's the only way. But the traditional marketing skills is, I would say you can always, I mean, today YouTube you'll find bunch of videos. There are a bunch of sites out there. You can always Google and
yeah.
you can always find, just one Google, how to promote your restaurant. You'll find like thousands of articles out there. So it's all about consuming, the content out there.
Okay. Yeah. As so, my inputs to Mr. Ganesh for that question is you have to come into market first, then the market will teach you. So that is the best education you will face regarding your question, learning about the market. Okay. And the final question, sir. So It's great that we have passed about 1 hour nearly. Okay, the final question is, what's your opinion on social entrepreneur? I think this is one
Mm.
different angle now.
How do you define that? Who asked that question?
Bomi Darshini from Bomi Darshini.
Elaborate a bit.
What's your opinion on social entrepreneur?
So when you say social entrepreneur, you mean someone who does social work? Is that what you mean, or
People who take social issues and start their entrepreneurship with that, like how
so again?
the Padman does, right, Mr. Arunachala Muruganathan.
Got it. So basically, I would say, I mean, anything on the social front is always good. I mean, no second thoughts on that. I mean, that's been going on for ages, right? I mean, entrepreneurship is just a new keyword that just came in it. Otherwise, these are the things
Yeah,
that people have been doing on for ages. But so two things, right? One is like definitely there's a lot to do. So I would say it's all about identifying a problem and solving it. But again, to do that, you got to ensure that your pockets are really deep. So again, certain, it's not something that so today, let's say everyone knows there's a problem out there, right? But it's not that we don't want to solve it. It's not that we don't want to help. Everybody would love to help them, right? But for that, you got to ensure that you have stability first, right? And as long as you have that, then rest everything is secondary, right?